Hey everyone, and welcome to this little mini review for the film from Breaking Glass called Flee the Light. Now, I was lucky enough to be offered a screener for this movie. It's available on VOD, probably as you're watching this. It was available as of the 15th of February. And yeah, I want to kind of talk about this movie and kind of my thoughts on everything went and do a little bit of a review. I'm not going to really go into much of the film, like not like a big breakdown or anything like that. I just kind of want to get across like what I thought about the film. And it's a very interesting movie. The premise of the movie is that there are two sisters. One sister is just having really bad, like, kind of psychological issues that she's got going on with her. There's a really kind of powerful scene that she has at a party where she just breaks down because of the stuff that's going around. It starts actually off with some, I guess you can call them witches that are in the forest, and one of them eats this like forbidden fruit and is basically possessed by this creature. And the idea is that this thing is passed down through generations, and there's always going to be somebody that is followed by this creature. And unfortunately, it happens to be one of the sisters. I'm not necessarily going to say which one it is, but it's kind of an interesting twist in the direction that they go and what needs to be done. The acting in this movie is pretty good. I was very surprised. Usually, when you get like a screener like this, that it's, it's something that gets solicited to you, and the movies can either be really good or they can be, you know, a little low key. The one thing that I will say is that a lot of this movie is beautifully shot. Absolutely beautifully shot. I was very, very surprised, and I was enjoying these really like cinematic and very like beautiful landscapes that they were using. And the acting is, like I said, it's very good. I was extremely surprised. There are some times where it gets a little, a little bit too hokey for some of the things that it tries to put across, but there are some really powerful scenes in the movie, and that being one of them when I believe it's the older of the sisters, where she has a little bit of a breakdown. And there's also this great scene where they go and the other sister enters this room, and she just gets succumbed by the light that's in there and kind of the environment that's going on around her. And it's a very, very strong scene in the movie. um Overall, I think that you have some interesting like tropes that they're trying to put across, and some things that, I was a little, as you get towards the end of the film, I feel like it wraps up. It's only really about an hour long. It's a little over an hour long, which honestly is not a bad runtime for this type of movie. But I feel like they could have expanded upon it a little bit, and even then, some little sections felt a little more like filler. But overall, the story is pretty complete. There's a lot of really great things with flashbacks, and there are some things where we have reoccurring dreams. And I do like the makeup that one of the sisters gets when she's finally possessed by this entity that's out there. It actually holds up pretty well. It's definitely a little bit more of a slow burn in terms of the way the story progresses. But with the runtime that it has, there are parts where it seems like it moves a little fast. It's weird. You kind of got these weird little like bits and pieces where you're like, okay, I wish they would maybe explain a little more, and or not take so much time. Like at the beginning of the film, there's a couple of things like I kind of want a little bit know a little bit more about, like the boyfriend that the one girl, the one sister has, and like why he's got this like resentment towards the sister, other than you think that, he thinks that she's bringing her down because she's always got to take care of her. And then, he has his little scene, but he's not in it. She's just talking to him over the phone, and then you never see him pop up again. Like, I kind of feel like this guy could have been a part of the movie, maybe a little bit more, maybe have a scene where, he does confront the two of them, and then she pushes him away because, she believes more in her sister than anything else. And it's weird because, while the older sister is going through all these changes and all this stuff that's going on in her head and these visions that she's seeing, and the other sister's rejecting it, right? The one that's taking care of the one that has the issues that are going on, and she believes that, her sister just needs to go to the doctor, and that's the only way that this can be solved. And I want there to be a little more conflict between the two, because, it's at the, I guess you'd almost say at the start of the third act, to where she finally is like, oh yeah, I totally believe in this, because she has this metaphysical experience with this other group of people that, it makes it so that she's believing, but she doesn't necessarily know what's going on. And then as things start spiraling kind of out of control for her, there isn't enough time, I feel, to get to the next stage of the movie, right? I think that's what, to me, stops it becoming a really great movie. It's a good movie. And it's very enjoyable. And like I said, you have some good characters, you've got some really good acting in it. And then you have just these tiny little shortcomings in terms of the story, that you want it to give you something just a little bit more, just a little bit more. And with the setup that they do, because it really does, like every movie kind of does, it follows this 3-act structure that you have going on. And I feel like the first act just feels so long, it bleeds a little bit too much into the second act. And then the second act, it's just, it seems like there just needs to be more. I just want more for this movie. Like, the story and the ideas that are expressed in this movie are very good, right? But again, I just feel like it's not enough. There are some key scenes that are great, but I feel like we spend a little bit extra time towards the beginning, like to the point where they go out to the cabin and they're exploring everything that's kind of around there. It's that stuff I want to see more of. I want to see more of her kind of get into the environment and realize what her past is, like, because it's all about, there's something in her past, and that either that she's a reincarnation, or that she's just involved with these people, this coven of witches that you have out there that are calling to her and trying to bring her in, and the head of them wants, you got to help her and you got to do this. And there isn't enough of that exploration of character or ideas that are there. It would have been nice to kind of be rooted in that world for a little bit longer. Like, literally, we go out there and there's this dog that is constantly showing up, which I'm assuming is her spirit animal, and she's the only one that can see it. But then the dog is there when the other sister all of a sudden is around, and she doesn't really acknowledge it, which I think it's kind of cool, because it's kind of like we all know that it's there, but she doesn't know that it's there. But then it kind of seems like she's acknowledging it. And then she sees somebody that all of a sudden appears to her, and she's like, what? Like, what's going on here? And she freaks out, because then she disappears when the other sister shows up. So, and that's where, the roles kind of get reversed, where the sister that's kind of trapped in her body and having these experiences and really trying to understand what's happening to her, she seems like she's freed from all of that. And then it's the other sister that gets trapped in that, even though she feels free at first, then all of a sudden, as the darkness comes and tries to get her, then all of a sudden she starts having the same experiences or similar experiences that her sister had. It's interesting, but I just feel like that change happens too quickly, and that if there was a little bit more with the way that you pass the torch, it's not really truly passing the torch, but like as the thing jumps from one to another, and we get an ending that was a little unexpected to me, in the way that it was going, because of what's required. And I really thought that it was going to happen to somebody else in the way that they were going to do it, because there's flashes of what's going to happen at the end of the movie throughout the film. And I'm like, are they really going to do that? Or why is this happening? And you have these questions. And when it happens, it's I feel like it's a good twist, but it just leaves me a little unfulfilled. And there is like an epilogue to the whole thing where I'm like, okay, so it's one of those type of movies. And I like the way those types of movies end. And I'd really like to kind of give that, but I don't want to ruin what happens towards the end of the movie. So I really do think that if you have a chance to watch this on VOD, I think it's worth your time. It's definitely something that was a lot more engaging than I thought it was going to be. But I just feel that it just misses something in it to make it just a really truly complete movie. And I think it's just some extra, whether it is maybe just a teeny bit of filler that just kind of explains exactly what everything is, because at the end of the movie you're still left wondering, well, what is this thing, what is this entity that's there, why does it exist, besides what we get at the beginning of the movie. I don't know why this thing keeps following people around. And they try to explain it after everything has been completed. And I feel like that's not the right place to do that, personally. Now, you may watch the film and you might think that, no, you're wrong. And I think everything's perfectly explained and everything is well worth your time, which I'm saying that it is worth your time. But it's just that I want more out of the movie. I just kind of expect more out of the movie than what I'm getting here in the place that I'm watching it in. So it's not like where you would rank it, towards the lower half of a scoring system that I do. I just think that it's kind of like a right in the middle, and that it just misses the mark on being a truly great film, and something that, being an independent film, maybe I give it a little more of a leeway in terms of what it's doing, because I've seen a lot of these types of films and they never muster up to what this film has done. So you never have a strong cast, and you never really have a good story, or you have a good story but then it's filmed really kind of cheap, feeling, and you have decent performances but you're distracted by something else. Everything that was in it, I just didn't, I didn't have that feeling. I didn't really feel like I was distracted by the things that were around him. I was totally engaged in the movie. I was totally, sympathetic to the characters that would, and what the trials they're going to, especially with the older sister. I was really, wondering what was going to happen to her. But then she kind of takes a back seat to everything as we finish the rest of the movie. And maybe that's where I really wanted more. Like, I wanted more of her own discovery and her own release, and it's just a little bit too short. So it's not really gory at all. There's nothing that's really exciting. There's some really, honestly, kind of silly little action sequences that happen in the movie, but it's not silly enough to where it like ruins the experience. It's just, it's just the choice that they made for a couple of the scenes. So it's a, in the terms of my reading scale, it's a 1 out of 5 on the gore. On the crap factor, it's not really in that. And for those that have never seen this before, that's just how like terrible are the things that are around the movie. And this, I give it a 2. Like I said, little silly in some of the little action sequences that are there, and it's a little long in the teeth, even though it is a very short film, in terms of fully theatrical, or what would be considered a full length movie. It still has parts where I think they could have removed some of the slower aspects of the film and replaced it with stuff that was a lot more, like, I would say, like, shedding the light on what this thing truly is and what she truly is experiencing, right? I feel spend some more time with the older sister as she makes a transition. And then, you have a clear cut. We're moving over to this because now it's over here. And that's where I feel the film just kind of falls a little bit. On the fun factor, the film is very enjoyable. That gets a 3 out of 5. Like, it is a lot of fun. It's, like I said, it's got good acting. It's got a good premise. It's shot absolutely beautifully. And like, the set design is very good, and you have a couple really powerful scenes in the movie that I really enjoyed. So it's not your kind of standard horror film. It gets a little bit more in the psychological type of horror film, even though it tries to do a couple things. Nothing with like a really big jump scare or anything like that, but it's still a lot of fun to watch, even if you can get past some of the slower parts of the film. So overall, I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 spirit dogs. I think that you guys should go out and check it out and kind of make your own decisions for yourself. I think that you guys would really enjoy the film if you like movies about, witches that aren't necessarily like the evil, scary witch, and you like films about self-discovery and what that means. I think that you'd really enjoy this film. I did enjoy this film quite a bit, and I thank the guys over there. Thanks, Scott, for offering the screener for this movie, and hope that you enjoyed the review. So thank you guys very much. Don't forget to check out the other reviews that are on the channel. There should be a playlist once the video is over. Also, don't forget to check out the episodes of the Terrible Terror podcast that are available on all podcasting platforms. So thank you guys very much. Make sure to take care of yourselves and each other.